Okay. Let's try. My name is Charles Caston, and I'm here interviewing Professor Jeffries. We just wanted to ask you a few questions for our speech comm class. What excites you most about your job here?
So what excites me most about my job here, it gives me an opportunity to share the things I've learned with students and help prepare them for careers in communication. But one thing that I always respect is I respect the students. It's interactive. I learn from them, they learn from me. Because the way I was trained is it's an analog system, and they're all trained in digital systems, pretty much. So using social media. So it's really a two-way street.
Yes, sir.
But I really want to make certain that they really learn how to use their basic skills. And by that, I mean it doesn't matter if you're on social media, if you're on Snapchat or Facebook, or shooting a television show. A close-up is still a close-up. You still have to have good audio. A medium shot's a medium shot. And you still have to tell a story. So even if you're on social media, all this stuff is about storytelling. And how you tell the story, you get a greater response from whoever is in the audience, social media or watching television, if you produce it in a manner that's very, very clear in terms of your shots and the story you tell, so no one is confused. The problem is, if you don't do that, people, they don't read what you write, and they don't watch what you produce.
All right. What are some of the more difficult parts of this job?
Well, I think one of the more difficult parts is making certain that I engage the student enough that when they come to class, they pay attention. And I allow students to keep their phones in class, but I don't want them on them unless I give them assignments. A lot of things happen in class. Students are carrying around a computer, so I might ask them about what is three-point lighting? I don't know. I said, look it up. You got a computer in your hand, look it up.
Yes, sir.
So it's challenging because a lot of them, they typically spend a lot of time on their cell phone, and I'm old school, so I'm not happy about that, particularly if it's not related to the class. But I just think they need to understand, as I did when I was in school. When I was in school, if you weren't taking notes and stuff, why aren't you taking notes? Are you a genius? So I'm just trying to make certain that they develop some very good habits, because when they go to work in the real world, they're going to have to pay attention to be mindful of all those things. You can't be in a corporate meeting or a meeting and you're on your phone.
Right.
Or you've got to take your backpack off. You can't be working around with your backpack.
Right.
And I think some of those basic skills are very important for our students, because when they do get a career and opportunity with a company or even working for themselves, if they're having a meeting, they don't want nobody to be on the phone while they're meeting. So
No.
I just want to try to help encourage basic skills with them.
Okay. When did you choose this field?
Oh, wow. Many years ago, I was working for the Urban League in Chicago, and the National Association of Broadcasters had a meeting in Chicago, and I was doing volunteer work. So I just sort of went down and sort of listened to one of the speakers, and something said to me, this is going to be your career. And from that point on, I spent all my time working and learning about radio, TV, and film, and then eventually got my master's in it.
Yes, sir. And how is this field developing and changing? Like from analog to digital?
Well, the way it's changing is that the cost of equipment has diminished immensely. So now, for about $300 or $400, you can get a camera that will give you a pretty good picture that you can actually put on television. A good example of that is CNN. A lot of the war stories you see presented, on CNN are shot on, we call them throwaway cameras. They shot on camcorders, small cameras, small little handheld cameras, but they still provide a great picture. But so the prices come down, the ability and of ease to use the equipment, it's not as complicated as it used to be. So as a result, that creates more people generating content, and that's good. That's
Yes,
good.
sir. What is the most important skills to have for success in this field? most important skills to have for success?
Well, I think you've got to keep up with what's going on. I mean, if you want to be a filmmaker, you want to make movies, you got to go to movies.
Yes,
If
sir.
you want to make television shows, you got to watch TV shows. Because you have to have an idea of how all this stuff works. And you got to read a lot, because there's still a lot of information that's provided is in the written mode. You know, you got a lot of journals. I mean, you got Broadcast Magazine, you got Huffington Post. You just have a lot of content providers that you have to read and you have to listen and pay attention. I'll give an example of that would be Chris Rock. I really admire Chris Rock. I don't know if those of you haven't had a chance to pay attention, should pay attention to Chris, because what Chris does, Chris reads about 2.5 hours, 3 hours a day, no college degree. So when he does his stand-up, if you're not well read, it's not going to make very much sense.
Right.
Because he's talking about news, things that happen every day and affect us.
Yes,
But that's because he reads a lot. So I just think the students need to spend more time reading and keeping up with what's going on. And if you want to be a comedian, you should watch comedians. You don't make TV shows and watch television.
Okay, is a master's degree required for advancement in this field?
I think a master's degree is required for all African Americans. I'm very adamant about that. I think that with what's going on now, particularly with our new president-elect, I think that African Americans, in order to maintain competitive, we have to, a master's is going to keep us somewhat competitive, because our counterparts who have a different hue, they don't necessarily have to have a master's, but I think anyone in education that wants to be in this field, get a master's and get a PhD.
Yes, sir. What is a typical career path for someone in this field?
Well, a typical career path, well, it's changed, because now a lot of students are entrepreneurs. They want to produce their own content. They don't want to go to work for ABC. They want to make their own movies. A lot of, as evidenced by rappers, they want to create their own content and sell that. So it's really changed. So there are many paths that you can use to become successful in this field. But I would say any Afro-American in radio and television and film, I think a basic trait they should all have is the ability to edit, because editing is how you develop how you develop content. How you put together what you shot or what somebody else has shot. How is it put together? But if you're an editor, you can do that.
You know how to do it. What are some of the projects you worked on?
Boy, that's kind of an interesting story, the projects I worked on. I'm sort of a hybrid in this industry, which means that I worked at Black Entertainment Television. The video, I was a producer for Video Soul. That was a concept of me and my business partner, Bridget Hempel, who since retired from teaching at Kennedy King College in Chicago. So I was a producer, and then also at BET, I was technical supervisor, because I was responsible for all the television remote trucks. We used to do BET Sports, and my responsibility was making sure that those trucks were there on time and were working to broadcast. And so that was my production side. I'm currently in the stagehand union. I'm a journeyman in the stagehand union. IATSE are the production crew that produce the Oscars, the Emmys, the Lincoln, all the various award shows on television. It's a union position, and I'm a journeyman here in Houston. And the other things I've done, I was project manager for a number of things in Chicago. I was project manager for the international terminal. Did all the audio-visual for the international terminal. Did the audio-visual project manager for installation of the 911 in Chicago, and did all of the audio-visual for Harold Washington Library and for Chicago Transit Authority. So I've sort of got a mixed bag of technical plus producing.
Who are some of the big names you work with?
Work with Bob Johnson, BET. Work with Jim Brown, CBS, because he used to be at BET. Work with Lem Barney, he used to be a football player. So work with Don Jackson, who's produced for Stella Awards. Worked with Brent Musburger at CBS. Worked with Lester Holt at CBS. So I could go on, but I've worked with a number of truly professional folks.
Okay. Tell me about the union.
Well, the union's very interesting. To be in the first, you got to get an apprenticeship, and typically a union is sort of a good old boy thing to apply, you know. But you have to have certain skills, and typically they have a apprentice program where once a journeyman recommends you, then you go to work there as an apprentice, and you slowly learn the craft. Journeyman for the station, there's a number of different skills. You have to have some basic stagehand skills, be able to tie your knots. And in other words, if you're going to rig something up, you got to be able to tie your knots, all that. But then you have to know just general stagehand work, such as how to move sets around. And the union has extended its whole boundary in terms of what it does now, because now you have camera operators, you have people to operate lighting, you have rigging, you have electricians which do lighting, so it really is sort of a mixed bag. And you really have to have, or need to have, a general skill in all those things. You know, general skill in all those things.
Can anybody join the union?
Well, you can't join, you have to be recommended by a journeyman or something, you know.
Okay, in closing, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm a happy old guy, 72 years old. Have a son.
72 years old.
Have a son that's was a new my first grandbaby, so I'm excited about that. And I'm kind of an old school guy. I like old school music. You know,
Okay.
so I love my